Hey everyone, how's it? Oh, Charles is coming in too. Perfect. Hey everyone.
Oh, it's a party.
Yeah, we got a nice group going on here. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Degens for a Brighter Future. My name is Jorge, and I'm here with Harmony One from MtopSwap and MtopSwap. Oh, sorry, was
It's
in
okay.
Miami this weekend. It's definitely followed me back here. How are you doing today?
Doing well. It's a bit hot
Is
everywhere,
it?
but it works.
I feel you. I feel you. So I just wanted to start off first saying, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start off in the cryptocurrency ecosystem? And also, what brought you to Harmony in particular?
Well, okay, so it's kind of a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. So basically, about 15 months ago, I began trading DeFi and kind of messing around on forums on the internet, meeting people, talking to people, having discussions, trading, losing money, making money, the normal. This was about February last year. I was able to, you know, meet a lot of great people in that time that I kept in touch with. And I was also able to day trade well enough to be able to leave my full-time job. So that
Wow.
happened like about last October. And since then, I've been a community mod in several projects and continued to build my, network of people that I knew, and kind of fell in love with it. I see blockchain technology as different than crypto or coins in that the technology isn't going anywhere regardless of the market.
Mhm.
And I see it very much as like we're in the internet in 1991 of sorts. It's this new technology that a lot of people think is kind of magic still, but has really, really solid applications and a potential to kind of change the world, as cliche as that sounds. But
Mhm.
I think a lot of us see that, and it's definitely true. Looking at Ukraine and Russia situations, and just the blockchain technology in general, like what it can do. Um, I truly felt that, so I kind of stayed in it, and eventually was
Mhm.
motivated to start my own project, and here I am. The reason I chose Harmony is the reason a lot of people say. I came for the gas and I stayed for the community, which I heard. The gas
Right.
fees are cheap, and inherently, I think developers are able to build what they want on protocols like Harmony because they allow for many interactions with the smart contract without having to pay $50, $100. I often say a chess game on Ethereum would cost thousands of dollars. And
Right.
on Harmony, it would cost like less than one. So it kind of allows people to build what they want and build something that might actually be able to make them some money someday, something sustainable. And I just found that really great. And on top of that, the community is just fantastic, even through all of this. So
Yeah, it's
yours.
definitely, there's definitely blood on the streets recently. By the
Mm-hmm.
way, before we move on, I forgot to mention everything we talk about today is not financial advice. Do your own research, enjoy the show. Thank you. Needed to make sure to say that for our YouTube gods.
Yeah,
Uh,
YouTube gods. Oh.
huh. Uh, so I guess the next question I wanted to ask you is obviously MTopSwap is brand new. You know, it's a new project. I overheard on some of these AMAs that you were in that the kind of a bit of your experience as like a crypto entrepreneur and starting your own application with a small team. So how's that experience? How challenging has it been during the bear market? I was wondering if you could share some of that with us.
It's kind of funny. This is the first project I've started, and as I mentioned, I was a mod on a couple other projects, but that's definitely very different than starting your own project. But it's funny because our community we have is very special and strong, partly because I spent a year and a half getting to know people, and and they brought their people, and it just kind of all happened very organically.
Mhm.
But personally, besides the losing money aspect, we don't even notice the bear market. It's like I check our general chat every day and it's just buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. However, it has affected us, of course. There's not much money to be made right now unless you're shorting coins, and it's actually an excellent time to build. So, starting this project, one of the main challenges obviously has been funding, which I funded personal up until a point, and recently we were able to secure some private funding from one individual confirmed, and another one actually I learned about today that is possible to happen in the near future. So that's a blessing in itself in this market, especially. And we have a product, a proof of concept that we'll talk about more, that is about 80% finished. And this private funding will be able to carry us across the finish line. And since we're building on Harmony protocol, we're gonna apply for, we've already applied for a grant, and we'll be able to hopefully acquire that within the next few months, and continue forward from there. So everything's golden. You know, it's a bear market, but it's the best time to build. And if you have a really solid community and team around you, which I do, then which we do, then you know, it kind of just, you don't really feel it as much. sans the losing money part. But it's the best time to build right now. Overhead is low, and people are really realistic with timelines and things like that in a period like this.
Mm-hmm. I think too, just in general, a bear market's just a good time to learn, especially when there's so many people that are disinterested at the moment in the market. And, you know, you see it across social media channels, Twitter, YouTube channels that focus on cryptocurrency have been hit super hard as well. So, you know, but I see this as an opportunity to build my portfolio. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, and growing Degens for a brighter future, chatting with different developers and across different blockchains has been a really cool experience. The next question I wanted to ask you, how did you end up building your team? How did you find 16 people to work with? And where did you come up with your proof of concept? You mentioned earlier that you were a trader. So where did you come up with this idea where you could pull up all these different AMM dexes all together? And why is that better than, say, an aggregator like 1inch?
Great questions. I'll answer the first part of your question first. You know, I've been on internet forums and talking with people from the AIM days, as you might remember, you know, MySpace and all that, and AIM, Yahoo chats even, since I was a kid. I've gotten used to chatting a lot. You know, I'm also a piano player, so I'm a fast typer. That helps. But I love just kind of the openness and transparency and the genuineness you can kind of be if you choose to be. And through that, I've just met a lot of people who are kind of the same way. So we have 5 core team board of directors. We have a senior systems engineer, treasurer, a business development director, a marketing director, and myself. We have 3 great community directors, community managers, and they run the day-to-day operations of our Discord, which is a lot, from trivia to recording these AMAs, to scheduling these AMAs, to just kind of all the ins and outs of sending people money when they win prizes and things like that. Just kind of generally being active. And then aside from that, we have 1 smart contract developer from Tokyo, Japan, and we have another one who we're actually talking with tomorrow, who hopefully comes on with us. But we contract out our development work until we find a developer who finds the ownership to kind of like to come on as like maybe a board of directors, which would be great for us. But until then, it's all contracted work. And then aside from that, it's all community mods who kind of fill the channels. We have channels that talk about projects on Harmony One. We have channels that talk about scams. We have channels that talk about kind of everything, off-topic stuff, and they're just kind of there to keep people engaged and the Discord fun, and it is really fun. So I suggest you enjoy it if you haven't. But most or all these people, like myself, are working for free, volunteer hours. I've paid them where I can, sans the contractors, obviously, because we are a software development project, which I'll get into here shortly. But you know, they're working off passion, and they feel real ownership here because what we're doing is really different. And I guess that's kind of a good segue into the next part of your question, which is, you know, how did you come up with this idea and such? Basically, as a day trader, I saw a lot of opportunities in DeFi in particular for improvement, as many of us do who trade, likely. One of which, the biggest one of which, is like there's a barrier of entry to people who are completely new to crypto, where they have to set up their MetaMask and their RPCs, and they have to bookmark a million different URLs, and you have to understand what liquidity is and volume. And there's a lot of, it can be very overwhelming. And the main thing that bothered me was that it's really difficult for new people to know where to start, honestly. So from my perspective, the user interfaces of a lot of these DeFi projects are kind of looked beyond. A lot of stuff is just forking other projects, which is fine. I get it. But we wanted to create a simple, clean. We want to create software on DeFi that a suite of tools. We're going to start with a swap aggregator, as you mentioned before, and we're going to move into all different kinds of safety features, price charts, portfolio management, even a MetaMask competitor eventually. That's long term though. But they're all going to focus on simple, clean, like stupid simple, user-friendly interfaces. And this comes as a direct result as from trading for a year and kind of feeling the frustrations of where do I click, where do I go, what stuff do I bookmark, how do I do this, how do I do that? It's all very overwhelming. It can be. So we're kind of trying to make it like stupid simple, and we're starting with basically an aggregator that takes all of the dexes, the decentralized exchanges on Harmony One at first, putting them in a drop-down menu and allowing you to trade on each one of those and using that as a module. And then on the same screen, you can actually add multiple modules on top of that. So you can have one DEX here, another DEX here, DFK, Loot Swap, Moki Swap, Viper Swap, all the swaps. You could have 2 Viper swaps. You can have 30 or 40 of them if you want. And each of them have a drop-down menu with all of the DEXs. And each of them can allow you to see all of the tokens you hold kind of in real time at once. And this kind of is the beginning of a long road ahead. But it's a start of trying to lower that barrier of entry to people. And lastly, I'll say, we didn't fork SushiSwap front end, which 99% of projects do. We wanted something that was noticeably faster than pretty much everybody is used to, not just on Harmony, pretty much all around. And to do that, we had to start the front end from scratch because we didn't like a lot of the front ends. Like I mentioned, user-friendly interfaces aren't a thing yet. We're in the internet in 1991 still. It's looked beyond. Apple was the first real Web 2 company to prioritize user experience, user-friendly experiences, clean, simple, etc. So not to use cringy buzzwords, but we're trying to do that because I haven't seen it yet. And in order to do that, we had to start from scratch on the front end. And a byproduct of that is creating a swap aggregator that is extremely fast because we got about over 100,000 lines of front end code from SushiSwap that has been passed from developer to developer down to just over 4,000. So what that means is less components to load, less images, no BS, just what you need to swap, because you might have 30 loaded on a page. So they need to be fast. And thankfully, from what we've done so far, they are fast.
Very cool. Awesome. I think right now that is a big challenge in DeFi in general is, I think oftentimes when people think of people in crypto, they have this idea of some guy, like this Netflix movie came out recently. I thought it didn't do a good job of fixing that stigma. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, what was it called? The King of Crypto or something like that.
Yeah.
That had to do with the Quadriga CX thing. And they showed a bunch of people in their basement.
The Crypto King. Yeah.
Yes. Basically showing, them in a basement. And I think when some people see that type of content or material, they can get a little scared and pushed away and, less interested in engaging with either cryptocurrency as a whole or DeFi at all. So I'm glad that you're working on this tool. I like the concept that you can pull up every swap instead of hoping the aggregator gets you the best price. You can look for the same token across various DEXs and see which one is going to get you the best price. So that is really cool. Let's see. So you mentioned that you were a moderator for several projects. Which projects in particular?
Yeah, so I started as a mod in actually RFDAO, it was called. It was Reflections Token universe of sorts. They created a Reflections token as a token where you hold it, and every time someone buys or sells, they, it gives you coins in your wallet free, basically. There's utility that can be built behind that, but it was a good start for me, and it allowed me to kind of learn the ins and outs of the basics of project management on blockchain, at least. And as some of you may know, it's kind of tied to Discord, Twitter, and Medium. Mostly Discord and Twitter, honestly. So, it kind of really allowed me to learn how Discord works, how creating channels works, and all that good stuff. It was good, and I left that and I joined a project called Holy Grail, which was a learning experience for me, because the anonymous developer behind it was actually still is malicious. We learned this after the fact, but not before myself and hundreds of community members and mods were manipulated for a long time. And it was unfortunate, but it was also kind of a learning experience for me. It was like being manipulated into making my resume, I guess. So, as soon as we stopped seeing development progress, we left. And the details of this project have since been explained in great detail many, many times. But regardless of this, it was kind of an incentive for me to see some of the other mods too that were kind of down and say, hey, let's take matters in our own hands here. Like, I am tired of developers letting people down with either bad tokenomics or straight up liquidity fraud. And it's just way too common in this space. It makes sense that it's around, but it kind of motivated us to try and set an example for once on just being completely transparent with people. And along the whole process, even stuff that I probably shouldn't say that I do anyways. But it's really nice to just be able to just truly be yourself. And it's really nice to finally, like, having been on the other side of it, like being able to start a project that I can share the GitHub with people and be confident that they're going to be just as impressed as I am when I see the proof of concept, and share it with the Harmony team as we get our grant and say, wow, this is pretty good. And you guys are serious and stuff, and kind of show that transparency to our community too, and take matters into our own hands. And we've done that over the past 3 months. And it's just been really rewarding to finally be on the other side, and hopefully not letting people down.
Yeah, I mean, it's speaking on that subject too, you mentioned earlier, or at least looking through your documentation, there's an element of NFT subscriptions. There's different various products that are offered to you by minting these NFTs. I actually like the idea a lot because it's a very realistic way to generate revenue over a long period of time. And then obviously, as more chains are integrated, there's an incentive for people across various networks to go ahead and use it. So I was hoping you could talk to me about the NFTs themselves, how you came up with the idea, and some of the suite of tools that you guys are offering for people who are going to use MtopSwap.
Yeah, so we have a lot of differentiators. One of my main philosophies, having traded for a while, is I'm tired of really high APRs and APYs. They provide incentive and utility for like a buyer who wants to ape for really high percentages, and then kind of farm forever once buying pressure dies down. Additionally, we all know in the Web 2 world that we've been stuck in for almost 16 years now. You pay $30 a month for Netflix, you pay $50 a month for Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop software, the software as a service, basically. And I was sitting here thinking, like, why can't people balance buy pressure with a recurring subscription, just like you would pay $30 a month for Netflix, but just tied to a token? It creates recurring utility for the token. And I really haven't seen it much in blockchain, surprisingly. So we decided to roll with it, and we use our NFTs not as JPEGs or as tradable assets, but as purely as a means for a 30-day renewable subscription. So basically, how we're doing it is our utility token MTOP, which can be bought on SushiSwap on Harmony. Basically, it's 50% MTOP, $25 of MTOP, and 50% USDC is used, not LP, but just dual mint, is used to mint an NFT that expires after 30 days, just like you would pay $30 a month on your credit card or whatever for any typical Web 2 service we're used to. So this creates kind of like recurring utility for our token MTOP, and it creates a revenue aspect where we're balancing buy and sell pressure, and we can pay ourselves and pay for further development with the USDC. So we don't have to sell our own token to pay ourselves, right? It's a very sellable asset, and it provides like meaningful utility that over time we'll have tiers based off of products. But since we're releasing, we haven't released our first product yet, and we're going to start with one. We're just going to have an all or nothing. There's a free trial where you can try it out, and then after a week, you have to mint. An NFT, a mecha NFT. It's going to be a robot to access the software itself. And after 30 days, it expires, and we basically take that 0x contract, copy paste it, and it's a different 0x at that point. And we have kind of a Web 2 solution that looks for a different 0x in that month and says, is this the most current one for this month? If so, then you can still access the software. So basically, we'll have auto renew and 3-month and 6-month options, and we'll have different pricing structures eventually. But we're going to start simple because all this stuff is very expensive to develop, and just kind of testing the waters. So yeah, basically it's like an NFT software as a service subscription model, which I find very unique. And lastly, to my first point about high APRs and APYs, we will have staking where you pair MTOP and one together, which provides liquidity for the token. And you stake that to earn a stable 15 to 20% annually, which is much lower than people are used to. 100%, 300%, 5 million% annual, which just isn't realistic long term. It's fine at first when everyone's buying the token, when they get the grant, or when the project comes out, or when they have a milestone. But over time, the hype will die down, and so will the buying pressure. And you really need to create something that sustains itself. So a recurring subscription combined with low APYs is really going to kind of balance that together, and it's going to make MTOP like pretty scarce, in my opinion. So it's all kind of different. I haven't seen it done, so I'm curious to see what happens myself.
Yeah, I saw the token supply was 10 million, with 1 million open to the public, I assume, when the project launches. So let's see, what was my next question? So how would you describe working on Harmony at the moment? Are there any major challenges that you're seeing as you move into the project? Not to throw shade at Harmony or anything, but I'm curious to hear your perspective.
Well, Harmony has a very unique community, first of all. So I'm thankful for that. It has some of the cheapest fees on a chain that has relatively decent number of users. There's some that are cheaper, but they're much less developed or have less projects on them. Working on Harmony is a blessing and a curse at the same time. The reason I chose them is because their team is really intelligent and qualified. Steven Z used to work for Google, Microsoft, Apple, like he worked on Google Maps. He's very qualified, and he has a team that's very qualified. Back in 2020, late 2020, they shifted strategies towards tech. And this year we saw them really focus on DAOs and such. And there was a pushback from the community that, hey, well, Harmony has a grant program, for people that don't know, where they give money to developers. Basically, it's not a loan; it's just a straight up grant. And they focused a lot of that grant money. It's $300 million, so it's quite a bit. They focused a lot of that grant money on DAOs, which a lot of people didn't find was a useful use of funds. And a few weeks ago, actually, we saw them publicly shift or state they're going to shift strategies back to tech. So it's been kind of a roller coaster up and down. I think people take advantage of those grants, and they are basically free money. They don't expect to be paid back. They just want projects to bring utility. And the community was telling them, hey, DAOs weren't bringing utility. So what did they do? They did what they've already done, and I had faith in them that they would do, and they shifted strategies. So although it might be frustrating for some, we have to remember that this is money that isn't expected to be paid back. It's only expected to be paid back in terms of bringing people and utility to Harmony, which fits kind of directly into what we're doing. A lot of projects on Harmony are GameFi, games. That's fine. I love games, and I can't wait to play most of them. But software is kind of always has to be there. And it will allow us to lower the barrier of entry, as mentioned. And so we applied for a Harmony grant, and we've made it to the second stage of the process. However, as I just mentioned, they're redoing their process a little bit. So we have to give them time to do so. And to answer your question, building on Harmony is great. It's really great. I really don't really have any complaints, even about the grant process. They're doing what they can. It's a shifting strategies and shifting focus is hard. And I think they're going to do it, as they've stated already. And we have the private funding to give us the runway to at least develop until, you know, they come out with us with a new process, and we're able to make it from stage 2 to stage 3, which is hopefully being approved for $75,000, and being able to implement the other myriad of features that we have, which I just realized you asked me in another question before, but I didn't answer. So
it's okay.
So many different features and things. There's a lot going on.
No, I appreciate this interview a lot. I mean, you're just content over content over content over content over content. It's fantastic. You're giving a lot to talk about. So when we talked about the NFTs, one thing I forgot to ask, could you tell us about some of the tools? In particular, one of my favorites is the tool that you guys are working on that will allow you to sift between what tokens are noted scams, have done weird things in their wallet, etc. Could you go into a little detail about that, and also some of the other tools that come with the membership?
Absolutely.
Or subscription?
So I'll bucket those into like a safety feature bucket. There's a lot of different things we'll do. There's well, first we're starting with the swap aggregator, and then we're gonna create price feeds for all of the little ecosystem coins on Harmony. And we're not just gonna embed Dex Screener. We're gonna do what Dex Screener did, and we'll be able to charge for our APIs just like Dex Screener does. And then after that, we're gonna focus on safety features. One of which would be a blacklisted wallet database. So currently we operate a manual and eventually automatic or relatively automatic database of 0x addresses that are tied to confirmed liquidity fraud wallet addresses, either through the creation of the token that was rug pulled, either soft or hard rug, or the funding of the creator wallet that committed liquidity fraud. Unfortunately, there are a lot of these. And right now it's a manual process, but as I mentioned, we're developing tools that kind of will give us like, basically, say a new token pops up, it'll allow us to see a whole bunch of metrics on that token to quickly judge whether or not it's a likely scam or not, and it'll make the process a lot less manual. But for now, it's manual, and we have over 200 0x addresses so far. Actually, I haven't checked in a while. It's probably close to 300 now.
Wow.
But this is all confirmed liquidity fraud. This isn't, oh, it's shady. Oh, they haven't talked in a while. It's like they rug pulled and it's confirmed. And we do our research and we make sure of this. In the future, we're going to be able to build this into our swaps. Say you import a token, a new token, and the 0x address of the creator wallet is tied even 5 times removed to any address on our blacklisted wallet database. You're going to get a big notification that says, this person did this with this coin on this date, and this is what happened, and here's the proof. And you probably shouldn't trade this because it's a scam, likely, almost certainly. However, we'll allow them to click out of it and trade if they wish. But it'll be very obvious, right? And it'll have the proof right there. You know, it'll have the links to the proof, because I don't want to just be saying a token is a scam on a hunch, right? It has to be proven. So that's just that we're calling those blacklisted wallet notifications. This will help lower the barrier to entry to people who might not know what they're doing, or might not know that a token they're about to trade is tied to something that's already been rugged months ago. This could protect a lot of people, and I hope it does. Our current manual database, as mentioned, is over 200 wallets and counting. So aside from that, we're going to have the ability to revoke contracts, which is a common practice in DeFi, where if you connect your wallet to a website and that website ends up rugging or whatever, or you don't want to use it anymore, you can go into, you can revoke the access of that smart contract to your wallet, basically, in a nutshell, in non-technical terms. And so we'll have that in-house. We'll also have a honeypot detector. A honeypot, for those that you don't know, is where you can buy a token, but you cannot sell it. Very common on Binance Smart Chain and even Harmony. We're going to create a contract that right now, to test if a new pair is a honeypot, we just manually buy and then sell and see if it works twice or 3 times, maybe. Some of them you can sell once, but then you can't sell the second or third time. So they're getting kind of tricky, but still pretty dumb. And so we're going to create a contract that does that for us, essentially, and would give appropriate notifications to people if they try to add a token that is a confirmed honeypot based off our contract. We will not let them trade that one, because there is no reason anyone should want to trade a contract that they cannot sell. So hopefully that will mitigate some safety issues, though, as well. And finally, we want to have like a stamp of approval, so to speak. This would come with a contract audit. It would come with going into their Discord, talking to the developer. It would come with analyzing the wallet addresses and the funding wallet addresses, of course, as we usually do. It would come with a myriad of internal auditing of sorts. In addition, we would probably want a nod from Harmony official as well. And these projects would be kind of like have a stamp of approval, like MTOP verified, we'd call them. So this would allow for people to kind of feel safe for some of these coins, because they've been vetted thoroughly, even by Harmony, right, and us. And this includes, right, going into the smart contracts and making sure that the creator can't mint tokens themselves, etc. Making sure they can't turn it into a honeypot, who owns the liquidity, or is that, so once we verify all that, there's a lot of liability involved with this, but we plan on having like a stamp of approval as well. So all this together will create kind of like a set of safety features for people to hopefully feel a little bit safer in a space that's currently quite dangerous.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've been in cryptocurrency long enough, you've probably been rug pulled at least once or twice, and it's, I'm not going to be one of those people that calls it the Wild West. That's just kind of ridiculous. But I do think that it's still new, it's still fresh, and there's lots of opportunity to be had, and obviously scammers do see that. So yeah, I mean, it's good to hear that you're working on that. I think actually, I wasn't planning to ask you this, but since you brought that up, interestingly enough, on my last interview with Chris from DeFi Today, one of the most interesting points that he was making is that there's so many of these like auditing firms that go and they look at smart contracts, but he still questions the reliability of a lot of these companies, and some I've heard can be associated with, marketing people, YouTube pages, and it gets a little messy from there. So it's nice to hear that it's within the DeFi protocol itself that you're going around kind of making sure these smart contracts look good. So that's awesome. Like making the network in any way feel safer is nice. And I prefer the platform do it versus the chain, because that creates a problem with trying to be trustless, right?
Sure.
So,
technically, yeah. And to a certain degree, we'll never be able to truly like be 100% sure, right? Because even projects like SafeMoon or others like come out and it's like there's a lot of shady stuff going on. And it's there's only so much we can do, and it'll always be around. Unfortunately, they ruin things for everybody, unfortunately. But there are things we can do to mitigate, right? And at least try our best.
Of course. And you know what? I know MTOP I don't know if they'll be launching with, or if you guys will be launching with some of those products available right away. But out of curiosity, for anybody that's new and watching this and just wanting to feel a little bit safer when they're sifting through these projects, what are some red flags that you normally find right away in your experience?
That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked. It's kind of like it's kind of overwhelming to some, but I'll go through 5 real quick. First of all, look at their social media, look at their Twitter, look at their Discord. They're your best friends. If there's no activity on the Twitter profile, if there's no activity in the Discord channel, if you cannot go in and talk to a team member, mod, or developer, something might be weird. If you look at if you search the token on Twitter and you sort by latest, and you'll be able to see a lot of bot activity, either on that or on the comments of the actual Twitter page itself. If there's a lot of, you can kind of tell when there's bot activity. These are red flags. Secondly, the white paper and the website. If the white paper or website are abnormally short or lacking in detail, sign it's a scam. Check the copy on the website. Copy paste it into Google to see if it's been copy pasted from another project. Thirdly, you can look on most explorers at the list of holders a token has. You usually paste the token contract address in Harmony Explorer or whatever explorer you have. Click the holders tab, and you can see if there's an abnormally high number of tokens in a single wallet or even the creator wallet. Obviously, gigantic red flag. Fourthly, you look at the liquidity and the volume of the token. A lot of scams lack initial liquidity. They'll have $10, $20 on there and have an abnormally high market cap comparatively. Use Dex Screener to see the transactions and check for low volume. Look at, like I said, low liquidity or abnormally high volume. Real projects typically start with good liquidity and high volume. So that's another red flag. And finally, I would say, and most importantly, look at the creator wallet activity and the funding of the creator wallet. And, if so, the funding of the wallet that creates it, sometimes they go back several times thinking that we're not just going to check 3 or 4 times removed, like it takes 2 extra seconds. But, scam wallets, the creator wallet is usually brand new. So if you see very, very, very few transactions on it, go to DFK tracker and type it in. That's typically a scam. Look at the first transaction on that wallet and see how that wallet was funded. Most scam wallets are funded by a wallet that has previously conducted scams. If you can't find the initial funding at all, I would also avoid it. There's so many red flags that people can look at. Also, if it was funded by something like Tornado Cash, which is typically used for money laundering, but not always, to obfuscate, also a red flag. So kind of digging into the creator wallet and funding, looking at the liquidity and volume, looking at the holders list, looking at their socials, and looking at their white paper and website all together can give you a really good idea, of if it's a scam.
I hope someone watches this and took notes to learn all of that, because that is very clear on how you can avoid a scam. So I'll probably have to just make that a clip and just
please do
everything you just said. I'll make it a clip if you don't mind. So I guess the next thing what I find interesting though about crypto in general is how a lot of people think it's this weird dark web scam thing, but at the same time, all these transactions can be followed. You can't even do that. You can't look at the entire ledger of Capital One or Visa to know what's going on with the money or their treasury or whatever. So, I hope anyone watching this understands that you can use these tools to better protect yourself, your friends, and family. So the next question I wanted to ask you, now that we've been talking about scams, what do you think about regulation in the United States? I feel like I had to bring in the funnest part, right? But it's a very complicated scene right now, especially with everything that happened with Terra Luna and UST. And we could easily spend hours just talking about whether that was a scam, if it was an accident, if the technology wasn't ready, whatever. But obviously now there's been so much more energy focused on the regulations themselves and how we move forward from here. So in your view, what do you think is going to happen, and maybe what you think should happen?
Oh, man, I got to be careful here. All right. So what I think will happen is there will be regulation, likely. Although the SEC is limited in what they can do, since this is a global industry. The regulation to some degree is needed. It's a double-edged sword. The space is supposed to be fully anonymous, trustless, and it's supposed to be that way. But if it is that way, then scams will forever run rampant in a really bad way. I think some type of middle ground is needed. Personally, obviously governments are going to come for tax money. That's going to happen likely. And they're also going to try and, protect consumers through trying to disincentivize scammers from scamming, if that makes sense. There has to be a level of anonymity in this space because it's the only thing we have that differentiates us from Web 2, besides being completely controlled by Facebook and Google. If you think about it, Web 3 is completely controlled by MetaMask. How much different is that? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I think there will be some, and I think there should be some. I don't think it should just be a complete Wild West, but it's gonna have to be a middle ground. I'm not kind of qualified to speak to specifics of that, but I'm just kind of guessing what's going to happen. It kind of seems like that's where it's headed, and I don't necessarily mind, to be honest. I'm not like pro. I definitely like the anonymous nature of everything, and I definitely like that people can be themselves, and I like the trustless aspect of it and private aspect of it and encrypted aspect of it. But right now it's just completely anybody can do anything they want. I do not see that lasting more than a year from now. Could be wrong there, but I assume they're going to be too heavy-handed in the regulation, and people are going to be pissed, including me. I assume they're going to be too heavy-handed because when don't they do that, right? They always go overboard with it, and it's unfortunate. But I hope they keep people's anonymity and privacy and just like the whole reason the space exists in the first place. Yeah, exactly, Monero.
Yeah, just a reminder.
I hope they keep that in mind. You're a Monero fan. Monero's great, man.
Yeah, no,
they've been doing well too. Price action's been good.
Oh yeah, a big Monero bull here. Big root Thor chain fan.
Oh
anyhow,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know a lot about it, honestly. I do know that they're completely anonymous and trustless and private, like how it should be, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have privacy, you're basically naked all the time, and if you can't control your finances, you're not really a free person. So for me, the freeing aspect of cryptocurrency, like you mentioned, is that degree of I wouldn't say anonymous, but pseudonymity that is associated with the use of the technology, and just the ability to move your money wherever you want, whenever you want, with little to no effort, not having someone in the middle with their money grubbing hands, like touching everything you work so damn hard for. So
yeah,
I'm very bullish on the space as a technology and as a way to make money, but I'm also into the philosophical idea of being the custodian of your own wealth, and unfortunately the person who can make those successes and also be part of those failures. So
sure.
It's definitely a challenging proposition, but it's interesting to see where the space is going to go, and just watching it grow, and I imagine these challenges are, especially, it's a very tough time to launch a project, but it seems like you're doing a good job of finding funding and all of that. I'm very happy for you in that regard. I guess during these tough times, what is something, as a seasoned crypto investor yourself, now crypto entrepreneur, what is something you would say to either new investors, maybe someone who got wrecked with Terra Luna and UST, or just someone who's never been in a market in general where a number go down, the Fed raises rates, all of that fun stuff? What would you say to those people?
Yeah. Try to zoom out, first of all. Understand that things change very, very quickly. As soon as you see the line go up, people are going to forget that we were ever in this period for this long, and it's going to change very quickly. I've seen it almost exactly a year ago today. Almost exactly. We were in a very similar position. We were around 4.5 cents. things came down from 24 cents. This is on Harmony, and others experienced it. And then suddenly Bitcoin shot up, everything else shot up, and it didn't exist anymore. It was like literally one day. And immediately people were like, why didn't I buy more down there? Why didn't I buy more? I'm not saying ape everything, but responsibly DCAing is the best thing you can do right now, not financial advice. The look at it more in terms of blockchain technology, in terms of cryptocurrency or tokens. Don't look at it just Dogecoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin and Harmony, but look at it in terms of the technology that's behind it. We have ownership of the network itself in Web3 when we buy a token. And that works through validators and staking and things like that, like in a very technical sense. And from a decentralized sense, it works in terms of us being able to just start a project if we want to and make a coin. And it's whatever, it's decentralized in that way. There are no titles, there are no names, there are no, roles and everything. This is a very special thing that we have. It's all public ledger. Also, it's all encrypted. And you look at Ukraine and Russia, and you look at people who took tons of money out before the ruble collapsed, and Ukraine's currency as well. Moved one country over, sold their Bitcoins, and retained all their money. That's a use case, a very solid use case. Millions, tens of millions of dollars were saved because of blockchain technology and Bitcoin specifically. Look at inflation over the last 10 years versus the price action of Bitcoin and the US dollar. It's clear that it's slowly moving against it. I'm not saying it's going to decouple from whatever. I'm just saying, overall, you have to zoom out and realize this is a cycle, and you can give up if you want to. That's fine. Many people are. But if you have extra time or monies to spend, consider DCAing into projects you like, or spending time in Discord or Twitter or whatever, and just hanging out with projects, starting your own project, building, creating, please. And realize that this is not only the best time to build, but it's just kind of part of a cycle that we've seen many times. That said, I will say crypto has not seen a recession before. So we don't know how low it's going to go. Bitcoin could go to $13,000. Bitcoin could go lower than $13,000. We don't know. But one thing that's not going to change is this could be the bottom. Also, we don't know. I don't know. If it is, you'll be wishing you bought more in a few weeks. I'll tell you that. But I don't know if it is. No one knows. Just remember that the technology is going nowhere. And that's why I'm personally building software, because I know the technology isn't going anywhere. And we are finally given a chance to escape the internet. If you really think about it, the internet was the last thing that changed everybody's lives over 15 years ago. Nothing since then, really nothing has really super changed everything that we do. And I firmly believe that blockchain technology is going to be the next thing that changes everything that we do, from healthcare to OnlyFans to software to literally there's applications everywhere. If you really think about it, like healthcare, you could have your permanent health record on chain, and cloud computing, you're already seeing it with Arweave and others. There's infinite possibilities here. We're in a cycle. And if you look at the next 10 years plus, you have to be very patient. You're going to realize that we are in the early stages of the internet in 1990 right now in this technology. Nobody understands the technology. Very few people do, just like the internet in the late 80s, early 90s. It allows us to escape Google and Facebook to put it short. And it finally monetizes the only thing that's actually worth anything, and that is energy, food and energy. Gold even is hardly better than fiat money. It's basically just a precious metal that's shiny and kind of rare. It's a little better than fiat, but still, it's something we attribute value to. Energy is the only thing that actually has value to us. And proof of work, even though Harmony isn't that, Bitcoin is. And blockchain kind of are a way to create a currency around energy as opposed to perceived value.
No, I think that those are all extremely strong points. Also want to reiterate for anyone watching, nothing in this video is financial advice.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. And always do your own research. And if you
Yeah.
enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, comment below. Love having you guys here. So I wanted to open the floor to some of our members. I was wondering if Pablo or George, maybe if you guys want to chime in, ask a question. How's your opportunity if you're there? Can I give him a second?
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. That was really good advice. I've only been in the space for about a year and a half, but I really appreciate your input. I really think it's critical to say, like, yeah, nobody knows the bottom, or like you said, I was around like last May, and like the shorts just got like squeezed, and we were up $10,000 in like a day or two, and like you said, within a week, and everybody forgets about like the despair, right? I think, and also a critical point you mentioned was blockchain technology. I think a lot of people, they mash up the words. Let's say they kind of confuse a cryptocurrency, digital assets, Web3, blockchain tech. But I think you kind of said spot on. Like we're kind of still so early, where the descriptions are kind of a little bit wishy-washy. Let's say, but yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I think thanks for your input. Honestly, I don't really have any questions, but really appreciate your time.
I mean, you highlighted some of my most important points that I like mentioning. Is that a lot of people look at it as crypto versus blockchain technology. That's what we're here for. That's it. It's the technology behind it. It's not the tokens.
Absolutely. I think also another thing that makes blockchain so important is just how much it's changed people's lives. Like imagine if you're in Zimbabwe, you have a hyperinflated currency, but you have access to the internet. You suddenly bought Ethereum, you got USDC, you found yield somewhere for 4%, and suddenly you're above water, And I think this is just the beginning, where it's just about finance. I think seeing, digital property evolve in NFTs and all of this beautiful amalgamation, for wanting to use a very sophisticated word, I guess, of things happening. It's all very beautiful, and I'm very excited to be in it this early. But Harmony One, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on to our show. I greatly appreciate it. Thank all of you for coming on and watching the show with us today. Sorry, did someone say anything?
Yeah, sorry. I have a couple questions. So first, definitely excellent presentation. I'm very impressed with your ability to, relatively, you haven't been in this space that long. I think you said what, like a year and a half, right?
Yeah, about the same. Yep.
Right. And so I'm super impressed at your ability to pick up on the holes in the market in general. And like, for example, providing some better user experience and like some user like safe rails and safeguards. So yeah, I guess what was your previous profession before delving fully into crypto?
I was a piano player.
No way.
Professionally. Yeah. And I did graphic design as well, but mostly piano. I still am a piano player. I always will be. I wrote, awesome. I played background music and everything. Yeah, I know it's not, a creator indeed, but yeah, not much else.
Can I ask one question? Sorry, Charles. What's your? I know I know with Harmony's kind of proof of stake, right? Now, do you think proof of stake is really like decentralized, or Dino, like decentralized in name only, versus let's say like Bitcoin proof of work? Because I don't know, I'm kind of in between. I don't know. I'd like your take on it.
Oh God, that's so hard to answer.
Full of hard questions.
I mean, they're both collections of people in their basements around the world doing things, spending money on servers and such, right? Validators on Harmony have to spend money on servers, just like people have to with proof of work. So, I mean, it's really like a governance difference. I think the real, probably best solution is proof of something we don't know yet, to be honest. But for now, like I don't have a preference of one or the other. I mean, I guess I'd like proof of work a little better because it prioritizes energy as opposed to proof of stake, like how much stake you have. Because I think energy really is the only thing that's worth anything again. So I mean, I like them both, but I think the real best answer is something we probably haven't discovered yet. Proof of, who knows? Proof of proof. I don't know. Proof of energy. How about that?
Oh, I like that.
All right, I have one final question, guys. So first of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate your narrative and what you've said. I think you've done an excellent job at explaining yourself and explain not only to us, but to the average person. But finally, I have a personal question.
Yeah.
I'm also a piano player. I've been playing the piano for over 15, 20 years. Like that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually finishing Beethoven's Tempest Sonata. But I'm curious to hear from your perspective. In your opinion, who is the greatest piano composer of all time? In your opinion?
Oh,
It's a tough question. I know. It's personal as well, but
so this is a good question. It's hard because it changes week to week, to be honest. But piano composer of the old era, I would say Frédéric Chopin. I love Romantic period.
oh, agree. He was a true musician. Yeah.
I mean, I like the freedom his music allows. Like Bach and Beethoven are like dun 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 dun. Like
Yep.
it's very solid, but he was like one of the first to like him and Liszt and I guess who else? Debussy, Claude Debussy and Liszt and him were kind of the first to like really allow people to, yeah, you're still reading what's on a page and was written hundreds of years ago, but you have some like freedom of tempo and flow and dynamics. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
And
a
I love
tough
the
question. It's a very tough question. I would say Beethoven is the first to have truly opened the sphere of influence of what is music, and then after that, obviously Chopin followed.
Yeah, Chopin's just
Yeah, Chopin followed suit also with technology advancement at that time. But yeah, I mean, you never answered my question. Who is the number one composer? You forgot to answer. You got to give me a person.
number one.
Yeah, number one. Who, in your opinion, is the most influential composer of all time?
I would say Claude Debussy, probably.
Really?
Number one. French.
Interesting. And why?
Impressionist.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he just your favorite?
He's just my favorite. Influential, I don't know enough about. I mean, he's among the most influential composers of the 19th and 20th centuries for sure. But I love his music. I love his music. So I'm a little biased. But I would say if I had to narrow it down to one, I would say Debussy.
I'll take that as a personal favorite. I personally like his Arabesque number one. That's a very nice piece. I think we all enjoy that. But to follow up on my own question, I would say like the best one's ever been Beethoven. I think Beethoven is basically what broke the gap from classical to romanticism. So, but that's just my opinion.
Hey, it's all subjective.
yeah, it's all opinions, man. There's no right answer.
I was going to say
just
Keith
depends who
Jarrett, but he doesn't write anything. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charles. Were you trying to say something, Joey?
Who has the best harmonies?
It fits. It fits very well.
Perfect. Well, hey, once again, thank you so much for your time. This was amazing. I'd love to have you on again. Definitely, we should touch base again and see how everything goes with MtopSwap. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate the support. Appreciate you coming on to our show.
Likewise.
And I hope to see you again. And if you enjoyed watching this, you, the viewer, please like subscribe, comment, share it with your friends and family. Let everyone know about Degens for a brighter future and our friend here at MtopSwap. All right.
Put our logo back there. No, I'm just kidding. Not yet. When we're listed on a centralized exchange, you can.
There we go. Hey, those are big goals to have. Good.
Yeah. Cheers, Pablo, Charles, all you guys. Jorge, thank you so much for everything and having me on as well. It was a pleasure.
No, it was an absolute pleasure. Look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.
Have a great time, my friend.
Thank you. You
Bye
too.
now.
Talk soon.
Bye.